Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. I will start. A Feminist Pen is an award winning international non-profit organization. We believe in global equality and we strive for equity through advocacy and having safe conversations and providing that safe space to all the communities out there. I will also begin with introducing our panelists. We have Dhwani Jain here. Dhwani is an engineer turned social entrepreneur. She quit her corporate career with a dream to build an inclusive society and is running her own non-profit organization called Karma Foundation. She represented the nation as the head of the Indian delegation to BRICS and SCO, International Spring Festival in Russia, and made a strong point towards world peace and India as a soft power in sync with the Indian philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We next have Astha. Astha is an intersectional feminist, development practitioner, storyteller, theatre artist, theatre man to her students, and many things more. She is looking to integrate theatre as a means to raise awareness and empower marginalized communities. Next, we have Ocean. Ocean is a development professional with master's degree from Azim Premji University, Bangalore. She was selected for the Spring Institute Program 2022 on entrepreneurship and disability. She has worked with multiple organizations in line of disability and inclusion. Next in the panel, we have Nivas. Nivas is working on creating India's first gender-free learning center for gender marginalized and gender diverse children. With this, let us talk about the theme today. We'll discuss about the larger theme called inclusivity in schools. Now, let us start with what do we mean by inclusivity. When the word comes to our mind, we all think of equal space, a classroom with a classroom that respects all the voices, a classroom that celebrates unique capabilities of each and every child and also provides a safe space and where every child can feel that sense of belonging. With this, I would like to begin the discussion today. I would start with asking questions from the esteemed panelists. First, I would like to put my question to Nivas. Nivas, like I mentioned in your introduction, you run a gender-free school. What are the challenges that students from minority community face when they dream of studying in a school?
I'm working in Bihar, and I'm working in the region where the most of the community is the tribal community, and so there are different kind of minorities. One is tribal community, another is Musar community, and then there is OVC like Yadav and other caste. So what we felt that we found that the tribal community is more open when it comes to a gender based differences. They are more open for their kids to go outside to work or to do anything. But when we talk about the Musar community, SC, scheduled caste, they are not open. They are more, they don't give opportunity to children. Even they think that what they will do, and they don't want them to go and take the education at least. So in our school, we started with tribal community. Later on, some Musar children and then some children from Yadav caste, they came for study. But after around 2 to 3 weeks, we found that the Yadav community, the children from Yadav community stopped coming, and we talked to them, why you are not coming, and they said that no, because we are not allowed to go all time outside, and what I will do to study after studying, that's why we are not going to study. And they are getting married at the age of 12 years when the child is girl, and the boys get married at the age of 14 to 18 years. So this is the condition of minority, especially. But we found that the tribal community is more open. So yeah.
Did you have any conversation with the parents or other stakeholders involved in order to just dive deep into what factors are playing out in maybe in forming such conditioning in terms of being open or setting some social norms within the community?
Yeah, so we tried to talk about it, and we found that the marriage age one of the main factor why they don't allow children to go outside, especially for girls. Like in tribal community, the love marriage is accepted. It's easily accepted here, but when it comes to a Yadav community or other caste, this is completely it's not accepted. Like it's a kind of crime or more than crime. So they believe that if we will not marry our daughters, then मेरी बेटी घर से किसी के साथ भाग जाएगी. So this kind of mindset they have. Even in front of their daughters, they said this statement, and this was really a sad moment for us. And they give this statement with an example, a recent example, and that become more strong. And we don't have the next option how to communicate. Like we don't have any other option. But in tribal communities, they are very much okay, and even they say that okay, so मेरी बेटी किसी को लेके आ जाए, हम तो शादी करा देंगे. So and that's why they are more open. So yeah, so this was we found this is one of the reason.
All right. So Nawaz, how do these different communities whom you interact with perceive the idea of gender-free school, and how do they react when you reach out to them saying, "I'm running a gender-free school and I want the students to come," and when you want the students to get admitted in your school?
Yeah, so when we were planning to start this learning center, this is not a school, this is a learning center. So when we were planning to start, there were many people who asked the question that how you can going to run this learning center in Bihar, because Bihar is highly gendered. And then we also accepted this. We also considered this challenge, and then we decided, okay, we are not going to tell anyone in the community that this is a gender-free school or this is a gender-free learning center, but we bring it in the practices, in the culture, in the setting of the learning center. And so, for example, like how they accepted it. So in gender-free learning center, what we did, we distributed practical clothes to everyone, the similar clothes, and this was a trouser and t-shirt. So but we also had some fear that if some people will say no, we don't want our daughters to wear this, then what we will do. So we invited to the head of the community, and from their hand they distributed from their own hand. And now the community cannot say that okay, so our head have distributed, then we cannot give it to the daughter. So in this way, we made it successful as of now. So we don't tell them this is a gender-free learning center. We tell them this is an alternative learning center where we give equal opportunity to everyone to learn everything. So yeah.
Okay. So I mean, can we just think on those lines that there can be certain change mechanisms or certain reinforcing techniques where you can just that can play around when you talk about forging inclusive education in communities that maybe do not value education, or maybe for the lack of knowledge they do not understand the importance of education. Can we come to that conclusion with your limited interactions that you have had with the community?
So the community is very resilient. They don't want to change their mindset, the way they have been from the years, and it will take time. So and we also had many times this question that how you are going to change the mindset of a child who is only involving in your learning center only for 5 hours, and they have to involve in their own home for 19 hours. So but we believe that this is a system, this is a systemic change which can bring a transformation in a child life, and from the child transformation, this will also bring the transformation of the particular household community. So we talked with community, and what the reason I gave of marriage, that kind of reason they gave, or and they don't consider it. They say that क्या करेगी लड़की, पढ़ करके तो वही शादी होना है, घर जाना है, पढ़ लेगी तो और दिक्कत होगा शादी में. So this kind of mindset they have. So it's really difficult. So yeah.
Okay, so from what I can conclude from your point is it should be a holistic approach where different stakeholders are involved. Without the involvement
Yes.
of community, or let's say the head of the communities, we cannot try and build that inclusive environment that we are trying to just being in the secluded space of that school vicinity.
Yes, yes. So, few things we did in the our learning center, like we started our children entrepreneurship program, and why we were doing this, because the especially the business is considered as a male work, and this also our books also says about it, the current academic books. So in that in that so there the all children participate without considering their gender, and we gave this opportunity to everyone equally, and they also got the chance to pitch their idea in front of real investor. They got seed funding, everything. So and now the children say that I want to become a business person. So now you can see the transformation, how the children are transforming. So yeah.
Wow, that's an inspiring story. I mean, kudos to the work that you are doing, Nawaz. All right. So what do you want to say when we, as different development organizations, can how can we aid in creating a gender-free school environment where everyone is respected and provided with that safe space?
So I just wanted to correct it. This is not a gender-free school. This is
Gender
gender-free
learning
learning
environment.
environment. Yeah. So why this is important? Because when we want to learn something, first we think that what is my gender. So if I get the opportunity to learn stitching, I will think, am I male or female, and then we'll decide should I learn it or not. So I want to change that, I want to break that perspective, and because of breaking that perspective, not only the male and female will benefit, but also those who are not able to identify themselves, or who are experiencing gender dysphoria, or who are gender diverse, they can also fit in the community without these without identifying themselves. So and for this I what we want, like we just started 6 months back, and now we are in the phase of piloting it and proving it. Now we also need support from different organizations, so of like creating their own spaces or gender free. If you are running any learning space, or you are giving training to even youth or anyone, you can also give the opportunity to all children equally. Or if somebody is becoming gender or thinking gender, you can encourage them to become more diverse in thought process, also in selection, also in participation in the activities. So if you are doing from your own level, and then we can also collaborate. And if you are running organization or school, we can also collaborate to make your learning spaces gender free, how we have built it and how we transformed it. So we are always open to share it. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Nawaz. This is truly something happening at the end of breaking the biases strongly and truly respecting and welcoming all the diverse voices.
Yeah.
Moving on, I would just, and thank you so much for building a context here. Um, the Karma Foundation also happens to work on different modules with youth, and I would like to ask Dhwani that Dhwani, how do you think, how have your interactions with the youth so far have been when it comes to uh, inclusivity in schools, and how do you think that these young minds of today can contribute towards an inclusive school environment?
Thank you so much, Vidhi, for having me here. First of all, I would like to congratulate Feminist Men, uh, most importantly because of getting such an important topic into picture. Because most of the times, all of us have been talking about inclusivity, about building an inclusive world, and things like that. But we miss the point that all talks will go in vain till we actually, shoot at the bud. And until and unless we teach our children the value of inclusion, nothing is going to happen. And unfortunately, the spirit of me and you starts from the school. I'll just give you a small example. I was reading it 2 days back. All of us know the game of musical chairs that we play. And the game is like, all of you would know that there's one chair less which is kept, and the person who is not able to take the chair loses the game until the time we find one winner. So these small games, from such small games we teach children. Now the same game is played in Japan in a different way, wherein they'll be saying 10 children, 9 seats, but they are told that if any one of them do not get a seat, all of them lose. And one by one, the seat gets reduced. But the message, it's such a beautiful message that the Japanese schools are teaching their children that if you're together, you progress in life. And this is what we have to inculcate in our children. From the beginning, from the childhood, we are in a rat race. We tell our children. So I think the responsibility is on us, the parents, teachers, and everybody alike, to teach the value of inclusion to our children. Nivas has beautifully told how our culture forces us to divide people. Marriage is one of the major issue why people do not send their daughters to school, and it is a kind of vicious circle, I would say, because educated minds would actually send their children to school. We say if a mother is educated, the whole family is educated, because that is how it happens. So yes, we have to break that vicious cycle, and there are two approaches, like Nivas also said, that one is top down and the other is bottom up. In the beginning, to break the vicious cycle, of course, the top down approach is important, because otherwise people would not listen to us. But then the bottom up approach is equally important, because then only that cultural change comes. So like you said, how can the youth play an important role? So I feel our youth is the other generation who can actually bring about a change, because the young parents are the people who can actually bring about that change. So the onus lies on each one of us, you, me, everybody around there, to bring those small little changes. And since you've talked about gender, Nivas, I would like to say, because there are multiple fault lines or multiple differentiations that we make, but gender is one of those differences which is most visible. But the bottom line is same. The problem is we take differences as a problem. However, differences should be taken in a positive stride. It is important to be different. If all of us are together, life would become so boring. So we should take the differences that we have in a positive stride and kind of sum up each other's strengths. So that is how we should look at, and that is how our education system should be. We should be kind of complementing each other. And that can only happen by actions, because policies have changed. We know how the EWS students are studying simultaneously in very good schools, but the problem is the teachers probably aren't sensitized that much. We have implemented a policy from the top, but not sensitized the parents and teachers. So yes, the policy changes are important, but simultaneously we need to sensitize everyone. And for that, NGOs like yours, ours, everybody is doing their effort, and I'm sure things will change. It is going to take time. We are in a kind of, the transition phase, which is the most difficult phase, of course, all of us know. But I'm hopeful that things will change. They have changed in the last couple of years, and together we will make it better, for sure. I'm so hopeful seeing all of you together in this. So yes.
Wow, that's so beautifully said, Sunny, that together we can definitely progress. Adding on to that, I would just like you to share a few incidences that you have had experienced or witnessed so far with your interactions with the young minds. And what do you think? There are, let's say, certain when it comes to imparting values, it is also important to have that certain willingness to learn. How do you see your, let's say, youth or young minds having, do you see having enough of that, or that curiosity where they want to inculcate values, or where they're sensitive enough to accept the differences around?
Of course, I have huge faith in our youth, honestly. I've seen, and that could be attributed definitely to the power of social media and internet. I remember when, like 15, 20 years back, we were not so enlightened. We had our own limited space. We were learning from our parents, from our teachers, and that's it. But the youth of today definitely has the whole world in their hands. So that's a beautiful thing. The only thing is, they need to be given the right guidance, because, technology is very powerful. While at one place it gives you all the good things in your hand, but at the same time there's always the fear of getting into the wrong things. But definitely our youth is there are two sides. There are children. We have read about the games. We have all of us have read about the news. How I don't even remember the names of the games. PUBG, yeah. How PUBG has impacted the whole generation. But again, the onus again lies on the parents. We can't just give away the mobile phones and laptops to our children and be happy in our own worlds. We have to look at our children, but when given the right guidance, I feel our youth is much more enlightened. They have much more values to do something. So when I remember when we were in college, not so many of us wanted to volunteer for good causes or go for NSS or do a NGO training. But these days there's so many people who come to us every day that we want to do something good for the society. We want to give back to the society, which is a beautiful change. Of course, the policies have also forced that, because entrance for higher education, there are certain points which are given for social service and stuff like that. But then it's okay, at least the values are getting inculcated. So, carrot and stick approach always works. So, but yes, I'm hopeful. As far as getting some changes is concerned, it has to be brought in. I'm a firm believer in karma, and when I say karma, it is not in the spiritual sense of things. It is the power of our thoughts, words, and actions. So, the right thinking has to be started from the very young age. So we have to start thinking in the right direction and force our next generation to think in the right direction, and then things will start changing. Every small change happens with a mere thought. We just have to give air to those thoughts.
Oh, wow, beautifully said. And I completely am aligned on your words, where we do see young minds of today are more and more curious to know about things, where they are seeking different resources where they can increase their awareness on different issues. And definitely, social media has been a powerful tool. With that, I would also like to mention the importance of art, theater, history, performing arts. It has been like since history, it has been no doubt a very powerful weapon in order to bring the smallest of the change that we see today in our society. I would like to pass the big baton to Astha, and I would want to ask her that how does theater act as a catalyst to build an inclusive environment on school premises?
Hi, Vidhi. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. And yeah, as you said, if we include, any art form, because that's how I have been impacted. If we make learning fun, then is that kind of learning is what stays with us for a very long time. So I'm actually I am on that bandwagon, and I'm trying to build on that by being a theater artist, theater teacher. So as you are as the question that you asked, that how theater acts as a means to impart inclusivity or impart education in such spaces. So definitely, it's just not jumping around. And obviously theater is all about expressing yourself, be yourself, embrace your uniqueness. So definitely it's all about expressions, it's all about embracing different identities. So I take the art form, and I try to do my also, like, my bit as well. Like, I'm a development practitioner as well, and I can't let that take a back seat when I'm in a classroom. So I always make an attempt to, ways the like my colleague says that it's a marriage between, how we are bringing to the table the social impact and our art form, so that it doesn't become boring for students, because they're very young, right? So I deal with students from the age group 2 to all the way 17. So that's a very wide spectrum. So since they're very young, like, obviously teenagers still have some awareness, they know about things, they know about the world around them. But these young minds, they will only learn what will interest them. So it's my responsibility to make learning fun. But obviously, like, as Dhwani and Nivas rightly said, that it starts from home, it starts from a very young age. So we need to be very careful with how we are handling young minds. So I like Oshin will talk about these things in more detail, as she is an expert of that. But and thanks to her only, she has introduced Indian Sign Language to me, which I totally love, and I would like to do better in it. But I'm a beginner, but I've taken that learning, and I'm trying to, introduce it to my classrooms. And you won't believe me that these 2 3 graders can sign A to Z.
Wow.
And that has only happened, it's not like, because like now, I make sure that whatever I'm teaching, it's not just one way communication happening. I take the feedback very seriously. So now when they say like when I ask them what is theater, Indian Sign Language comes up as well. Because it's like you just need to, put two and two together, basically. So Indian Sign Language, it's basically a language of the people who can't speak or hear. So it's all about expressing yourself, because you have to be loud with your expressions. You have to be, your gesture should be proper, so that we can, you can communicate well. And theater is all about that. So I just took Indian Sign Language from there, yeah, showed them how it is relevant to theater, and made them do it. So it's fun for them. They actually love it, and they know how to sign their names. They know A to Z. So even if they don't know, how to say good, like they know good morning, sorry, even if they don't know how to speak fluently, at least they know the alphabet, so even if they'll try, they can form a sentence. So it starts from there. So as you said, we need to shoot the bud, Dhwani. Definitely we need to do that. Then only, they go home, their parents came to me that they're teaching them their names. They're teaching the grandma their names. So this is how I'm using theater and trying to make an impact that stays with them, and that is important for inclusivity. Because right now, when I ask them what do they know about it, some people know that yeah, it's sign language, you sign it. Some students didn't know, but now everyone knows, and it is important for us to know about the languages of everyone. That it's so like as Indians, we live in a very diverse society, right? There's so many languages, so many cultures. So it's okay to not know about everything, but we should be mindful and respectful towards each other's culture, each other's languages. So, and I think it's really important because that's how, there's a, how I know there's a long way to go. We are starting, and I'm very hopeful, like Dhwani and Nivas, that it's a long journey, but we'll keep at it and we'll get there. But definitely, we need to be mindful that okay, if we might not see a lot of students like that around us, but they exist. It's not that they're invisible. That is what I do with my script writing as well. When I develop scripts, I would like to I used to call them gender neutral scripts, but now Nivas has taught me a very good term, which is gender free learning. That means we are not imposing any gender to anything. So my scripts, whenever I choose names, because it's like I develop scripts, it will go to any set, any grade, and now the set of students, whoever is in this class, in that class. But I don't want to do the distinction that this is a boy, this is a character of a boy, this is a character of a girl. So I choose gender neutral names like Joy, Dev. Like you can't guess the gender of the name. So because why I do this, it's not like that I want to impose that yes, you are a gender neutral character. If the student wants to if they are a girl, suppose, and if they want to go with the pronouns she, her, if they want their character to use that pronouns and not they, it's absolutely fine. It's basically what I'm trying to do is not impose anything. Even gender neutrality, I don't want to impose that on anyone. Like if they want to go with it, they'll go with that. It's like you have space for that. You can go by, you can be whoever you want to be. So this is how I'm trying that, through my scripts, that it's a gender-free learning, and students can decide their own gender. Students can interpret, like Joy can interpret who they are themselves, whether Joy is a he, they, she, or whoever they want to be. And also, as my scripts, also I be very, very mindful on what themes I'm making my scripts. To name a few, it's okay to be different, that embraces diversity. It's a very simple, it's a KG level script where there's one student who has a hearing aid, and their friends haven't seen haven't seen someone wearing a hearing aid on a regular basis, right? So they initially try to alienate that person because you're different, you're new, we should look same at least so that we can play together. But through the script, very simple script, it's it's teaching the kids that you should embrace differences. Unless and until someone is treating you bad or someone is harming you, if they just look different, a different skin color or a different if they appear a little different, that's all right. If they are not doing any harm, you shouldn't hesitate then from welcoming them. And that is you should open to friendship, because so that's the message I'm trying to impart. And I this is what I'm doing most probably, mostly. So yeah, I think I answered your question. Or if I didn't,
Definitely.
let me know.
Definitely, I can truly see a beautiful amalgamation of concepts of theater, inclusivity, and how subtly and also mindfully you are just bringing a small change. It seems small, but believe me, you this is gonna be staying in these young minds forever. And as and when they grow, they will be more sensitive and mindful towards the diversity around them. And coming to that, Astha, I totally see that you as a change maker is uh, you're trying to slightly tweak the curriculum, or rather, I would say your methodology of teaching these different concepts is totally how it's totally like being acceptable to these young minds, and they are happily and with curiosity they are taking it. But how do you see these changes in curriculum are taken by, let's say, other stakeholders or the colleagues of yours, the school principal, head teacher, or different teachers who teach subjects like science, maths, English, or any other subject for that matter?
Definitely, like curriculum is the most crucial when it comes to educational spaces. So, and it starts from there because once you develop the curriculum, then you build on that. That is what, like, we bring the curriculum into reality in the classroom. So, it's very important to be very careful when you're curating the curriculum. So, we at Kriya Shakti is also very careful when we are, building and how we want to progress because theater has a lot of elements, but through theater, like we want to tell, like, impart education through theater. So that basically it's learning via fun because it stays with you. That has we have that has like through theater has helped us in being who we are today. And obviously, like when we like, I don't know how many of you will agree, but it's like maybe I'm a theater artist. That's why whenever I go to watch a play or maybe like even movies, when we see some powerful movies, the message that it gives, it stays with us, right? For example, like if we talk about Tare Zameen Par, right? How it talks about students on a spectrum, and otherwise we don't like before that movie. I guess a lot like it sensitized a lot of people. Like a lot of people sensitized after that movie. They got aware about dyslexia. Otherwise, like since what has been shown in the movie, it's been like the student has been like shoved away by saying that you're indisciplined, you just distracted and blah blah blah. So it is really important. So curriculum. Coming back to that, we make sure that we introduce curriculums around anti-bullying, so that because this is very common that happens in the school and it needs to be talked about. Just because just like if we shush away from that, if we'll talk about generic topics, it's not serving anyone. So it's very important to talk about these things. So we develop curriculums around issues that matter. And I personally want to bring a change in the bring a change or improvement, or I want the curriculum to take I want to take the curriculum down the path where it talks about where literature and disability and neurodiversity, because I think these are very important issues and they need not be shy away in the classroom. Like obviously it needs to be age appropriate, and it needs to be very it's sensitive topics, so it needs to be properly approached, properly curated, and there should be experts in the panel when such things are coming together. So I am I'm in the process of developing I want to develop a queer curriculum which talks about which subtly introduces about talks about gender and sexuality, but obviously it should be age appropriate across all grades. So I'm working with the team who's I have just entered this field, so I'm also learning as I go. But yeah, definitely I'm in the process of that, and it's a small victory for me that Indian Sign Language, these little kids know about it, because I personally got to know about it very recently, and I'm not very happy about that. But obviously it's again the culture and the education that was given to me and that was provided to me, and which is not very inclusive. So since now I'm in the field, I would like to do my small bit in this. So definitely, curriculum plays a very major role, and we are in the process. We work on the issues that matter. We develop curriculums around that, but these also, which are usually not welcomed by everyone, like queer literature, but and like, but we want to, like, I personally want to build curriculums that talks about learning disabilities and all, so that students also empathize with each other, because
All right.
otherwise, yeah, yeah,
All
it's a
right.
vicious
All right.
cycle. Yeah. Thank you.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much, Astha, for putting all of your experiences so beautifully, and I congratulate you for the great work that you and your organization are doing. And I'm completely aligned, and in fact surprised to know that this the curriculum which is supposed to be inclusive is also welcomed by the school principals and head teachers, and now gradually these other stakeholders are actively, or rather proactively, started moving towards, or they have inclusivity as one of their major goals or values, to in order to say that. Moving on, let's hear from Ocean, who has an expertise in visibility and inclusion space. And we would love to know your thoughts and your work around the same. And to start with, I would definitely want to know, Ocean, what, in your opinion, is the effect of policy advocacy regarding disability rights?
Thanks, Vidhi, and thank you, everyone. I'm not like a great expertise, but yes, I've had few experience. And first of all, I'm really happy to know where Astha is taking Indian Sign Language. And to answer your question, one thing like how Dhwani also mentioned that the policies have kind of forced people to talk about it, work towards it. So one of the things that I believe that definitely policies did is that it has brought the awareness about the disability. It has brought visibility to disability. And with that visibility, there is now open space, a safe space to talk about it, talk about the steps to be, considered, to see disability, to normalize disability. So this has definitely given up a space where inclusion is not seen something as a matter of, pity or a charity, but rather the discussions are now going more towards, how to normalize it. And I believe that the biggest compliment, like I would say that it has brought, is that the visibility to the community is something that it has definitely done.
All right. So, I mean, that's, I think, definitely a welcoming move when it comes to, again, a community which was, let's say, not never that visible to others. And do you see a change when it comes to making schools an inclusive space for people with disabilities?
So, to an extent, yes, absolutely. Like now, there are more like how, like Asa just mentioned, that now teachers and everybody is becoming more inclusive, accepting. But I believe that there are, multiple layers when we talk about inclusion, especially when we're talking, like, if I'm speaking from the disability aspect, that there's so many layers that we cannot just say, okay, we have a ramp and full stop. And that, so for example, if I have to say that, if I have to talk about bringing the in making a school inclusive for people or children with disabilities, one would be the physical accessibility, which is the ramps, then the braille, then sign language interpreters, what about the children who are deaf in the school. And then, which I believe is one of the most important, is like how Dhani also mentioned, it is really important to have special educators who are sensitized enough that how you are doing. So under the term of, like, disability is an umbrella term. Disability itself has so many disabilities. Are we talking about physical disabilities? Are we talking about learning disabilities? And the special educators need to be trained accordingly. Because if, for example, if we just have a ramp, what next? The child has entered the school, but then what next? What, like, it's a waste if, people around are not sensitive enough. If the child is bullied, like how Asta is saying that if children don't know that being different is okay, the child will not come. So that sensitization is this. So again, like linking it to the first question, did the policy make an impact? Yes, but has it brought the impact fully? Not yet, because I believe that mentality needs to be changed as well. But it's a slow process. But again, hopeful that it will happen. So there's definitely a change. There's definitely a scope, but on reality, it needs little more work on the ground.
Okay. On that note, Ocean, we saw NEP 2020 was in news and is in news and will be rather in news for the years to come. What will be your two cents when it comes to furthering the concept, or let's say furthering the idea of visibility of people with disabilities? How does this policy, or is it actually bringing a tangible change when it comes to people with disabilities?
It is definitely bringing a change. To what percentage is something that I cannot commit, but I know because my mother is a teacher in a school, and now she comes and tells me that we have a special educator, we have so many children, and I have not heard this in past few years. So NAP 2020 has definitely brought a change, and especially with, I think, the two main things that they talked about. One is the barrier-free education, and teaching the training the special educators, especially for the children with learning disabilities. I believe these two are like really important things that have been brought out, 2 points that has been discussed, at least on papers. But that it has given hope. Now there is a scope to discuss. There is the people can question it about it. That there's a policy that talks about it. Why is it not happening? And once then that there's a policy, there is a law about it, people know that something is happening. This is happening. This is normal. So now children with disability in schools will not be seen as an alien. They'll know that let's normalize it. And now that because there's this done that is strict on the school principals and everyone, they will hire special educators. They will train them for for children with learning disabilities or other intellectual and development disabilities. So this has definitely brought in a lot of scope, and more children can feel more accepting. They can go not just to the schools, like how I think in Niva's discussion also came that it is important that we don't do inclusion in exclusion, just not having a school that is for children with disabilities. I believe that's just exclusion under inclusion. We need to normalize inclusion in any regular school. There's this show called This Is Us, and the mother, she had a blind child, and there was this sentence, and she said that I want to open singing school for blind children. I want to open so many schools till the point it becomes normal, just how it is like a school for anyone. So that because of that policy, that normalization is happening. But again, as I said, on ground, it will take time. The impact needs to be done how it's on the paper, but at least it is giving us hope. So yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Ocean, for putting it out so beautifully and letting us, or rather enlightening us with how NEP 2020 is a welcoming change, rather, when it talks about barrier-free education and training the special educators. Coming to that, in the paucity of time, I would rather want to move straight away to the Q&A section, and would just invite all of the panelists to just unmute themselves and talk about rather a very, still I would say a very neglected, at the same time important issue, which is homophobia. We talked about gender free learning center. We talked about how culture plays an important role when it comes to accessing education, whether in the tribal community or other communities alike. And we talked about how privileged schools are rather accepting the idea of change in curriculum in subtle ways, and how we see the concept of special educators emerging and how they are trained and rather getting a place in these schools these days. but still homophobia is something that still doesn't get accepted, rather acknowledged to a large extent, and we every day see a large number of people from the community getting uh, shamed, or rather uh, just discriminated on the lines of gender and sexuality. What do you all have to say on this? Maybe I would just like to start with Nawaz. How do you think gender and sexuality can be uh, introduced, not introduced, but rather be intertwined with these inclusivity concept in schools?
Uh, so right now we are not much focused on uh, sex or homophobia, but we believe that once we start normalizing the gender, it will also normalize the sexuality or sex and homophobia as well. And because in school we divide children on the basis of binary gender, and then we believe that why we are dividing it, because they may can attract to each other. But that belief system that we have, the attracting of two person who are in different sex, but now we have changed the classroom structure. Now when they come and sit in our classroom, uh, this is in the way, this is enabled that they cannot sit separately, they have to sit together, so they have to interact with each other. So in this way, because we are working with the community, and suddenly if we will start working with we will start introducing homophobia as a subject, then it will not become a normal thing, it will become a subject for us, like our agenda. But we don't want to make it agenda, we want to normalize it. And also children, in currently children are underage, and maybe in future we can invite the expert for that. So I don't think I'm right person right now to speak more about it. So yeah.
All right, all right. Maybe we could have do other panelists have questions for Nawaz about his work, or anything that he has to say about gender free learning.
Hi, Nivas. Glad to hear about the gender-free learning and the school and the great work you're doing there. Like, I had one doubt. Like, is it like one branch, one school there, or like, how is it like? Is it like one school setup, or what is it?
Yeah, so initially we also had thought of we will create one school where it will be very ideal curriculum, pedagogy, everything. But later on, when we realized the problem, especially the size of the problem, then we felt that this should not be very ideal school. So that's why we started using the state government books, and in the same curriculum we are transforming the books, like the pictures, the language, the colors, the rules, everything we are transforming it, and we are using the same book, so that we can propose to the government to transform it. And we did that, and but we are working on changing the pedagogy, because the way we use this curriculum, we believe that this is not child friendly. We should go in a way where children feel safe, where children feel more creative. So we are working on pedagogy, and I will come on your question of one school and how this will happen. So our planning is to work with the state government, and to help them uh, in creating learning gender free learning environment in the school, from what school what we have created right now. So this center will become a model center which will help them and teachers, everyone, that this is possible to go gender free, and children can also go gender free if we will enable this environment. And from here we are planning, we have already started this, to train the fellows, youth fellows, and after 6 months of training they will go to the government school. They will be appointed in one school and will try to transform that school into gender free learning environment. So this is the way, and our main goal is to reach till 2029 the next new education policy, and we want to influence that by creating more government schools as a gender free learning environment. And we want to we want to influence the policy so that we can reach to 20 lakh school across India, all in public, private, every schools. So this is our main agenda.
Thank you for your answer, Nivas. Just small follow up questions. Like
Yeah.
this school, which grades are there in this school? Is it a co-ed school? And have you faced any resistance because you deal with marginalized communities? So, like, if it's a co-ed school, have you faced any resistance? Because in
Yeah.
urban setups also we see resistance from parents that like that's why like I have seen in my own college that some of my friends have gotten education, like college education, only because it was a girls' college. So, like, how did you deal with that kind of a resistance?
Yeah, so first thing, this is we are not working with any other school. We just started our own learning center, one learning center in the place where there was no school in 5 kilometer of radius. So we started this learning center, and from first day 30 children started coming, and then we started. We have selected two groups, and this was intentional, and because we wanted to do piloting and wanted to understand how children are able to grab it, are they ready to change it or not, and from what age it is easy to transform their mindset. So we have created two groups. First group is 6 to 8 years, and second group is 8 to 12 years. And we found that those children who are in 8 to 12 years, they are more resilient. They don't want to transform themselves, and it takes so much time for them to process it and then think, okay, how can I sit with boys, or how boys think that how can I sit with girls. I don't know how she will react. So but for 6 to 8 age group, they are very open. They want to learn, they want to fight, they want to fly, they want to jump, they want to they want to do everything. So, and this is our reflection, and then we found that we should start working from the preschool time, and this will bring more effective change. So yeah, so this is the main group. And from the society, so as I said from earlier, that we are not telling to the community that we are working on gender, or this is our intention. We said that we came here to provide you access of education because your children don't have school here. And this is a alternative learning space where children not only learning this book thing, but also they are learning German language, English language, they are learning entrepreneurship, they are learning dance, they are learning so many things. So, and then the gender is just a small part which we are bringing. So we make it very simple, very small thing for them. So that's why we don't face any kind of resilient about gender.
Very refreshing. Thank you for your answer. It's very refreshing that their parents are sending their like kids irrespective of which what all genders are coming to the school. So it's like they are open, and it's very refreshing for me to at least listen to what you have just said. So thank you, Nivas. Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nawaz and Asta, for your questions. I would also like to open the floor for questions from other participants. You can put your questions in the chat or unmute yourself if you want to ask anything. Meanwhile, coming back to the question, since Dhwani, do you have any experience of interacting with youth from the rural backgrounds?
Yes, we do interact with the youth from some of the villages in UP, and Odisha.
So, okay, sure. So, do you think any change in the level of acceptance from what you deliver in terms of value education between rural and urban setup?
Very interesting question, actually. So, most of the times when we are sitting in metros, we do not realize what's happening in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And Nivas has actually told the real life instances how things are different in Delhi, Mumbai from things in Bihar or Jharkhand or maybe West Bengal. But yes, one thing is for sure, education is one thing which equalizes society. And once you get quality education of like 8 to 12 years, I think if anything, your aspirations would be similar. Whether you are a child from Delhi studying in a modern school, Barakhamba, or you are from a government school in UP, Odisha, Gujarat, or anywhere. In fact, what I have noticed is students from rural community who have access to good education, they are more ambitious in life because they actually want to do something. People who already have everything on their platter, they sometimes, do not count their blessings. They start taking things for granted. In fact, last 2 years while COVID pandemic was on, we had a similar discussion with some of the parents wherein imagine children were cribbing, oh, ma, we could not go for a foreign vacation in last 2 years. These were the challenges that parents in urban areas were dealing with. The only thing that I told them was to take them to rural areas or introduce them to the less privileged kids so that they know what the real challenges in life are. So for me, my experiences, children from rural and semi-urban areas are more ambitious, they want to prove themselves, they want to get out of those circumstances, they want to bring their families out of perpetual poverty, they want to climb up the social ladder. So definitely, and they work hard for that.
Wow, that's certainly. But from my understanding, we could also say that if at all they are provided with that platform, right? Like, and here by platform, we are all agreeing to education being the powerful tool.
Of course, I don't think anything except education can be so equalizing. And that is why quality education, that too in the government schools, is so important. Because not everybody can afford to send their children to the best private schools. If we can provide good education in government schools, that could be the best thing. That could actually, give a boost to our economy. And I have worked with the government schools in Delhi. I was a part of the Business Blasters program, and I can vouch for that. Children are so talented. They just need the right platform.
Definitely.
They would come up with such beautiful ideas. They would put in so much effort. I have worked with those children, just 14 to 18 years old, full of ambitions, full of vision, and they give it all. They would be giving their board examinations. Simultaneously, they would be doing their businesses as well. While children from the best private schools would just get stressed about board examinations because they have it all. So, good education in government schools is the need of the hour.
Truly, I am aligned on that part. And that brings me to our last question for the discussion. Sanjana, do you have a question?
Yes, Vidhi. So I think before I ask my question, I would love to thank each one of you. I think it was a lovely session, and because I can just see that, like, even though we all come from different backgrounds, the purpose, the definition of inclusivity is the same for all of us. We are all looking at the same vision, same goal. So, my question is quite deviated from the study of discussion right now. It's in aspects of discipline. So, the thing is that, like, I'm pretty sure all of us know, like, we remember that one teacher which made our school so exciting and so terrible also. So, the thing is that, like, how can changing school cultures of discipline pave way for inclusivity? That's my question.
Thank you for the
Can I?
question. Yeah, Oshin, please go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead. It's fine.
Okay, I'll briefly talk about it. So, Sanjana, like when you asked that question, one teacher popped in my head. And now, when I reflect back at it, and now when I'm a teacher myself, I know there are better ways to impart discipline to students. So, definitely, like this exciting, like how I deal with, my students, like students are students. They do they make they make class chaotic, they be themselves basically, but just resorting to like hitting is not constitutional anymore, but still it's not like we very well are aware that it's not like it has stopped or it is not happening. Like when we talk about inclusivity, the very recent case which we shall not forget, how a Rajasthan Dalit boy, a very little kid, 8 to 9 years old kid, was beaten to death by upper caste teacher. So definitely, when we say we are hopeful and things are changing because they are on the paper, as Oshi very rightly said that things are on the paper, are coming again and again on the paper, but execution is what matters the most. So, Sanjana, definitely, like discipline is very important, especially like when you're in a school setup. I deal with like I go to different schools. I have dealt with students on a spectrum. There are certain classes where I don't really need to, like keep on exhausting my voice to calm down the kids to make them listen to me. But again, there are like because they are disciplined. Because but in other schools, it's not like students are bad. It's just like there's a discipline issue. But I think what has worked for me is communication. If I communicate to them that it is like it is like disturbing the classroom, it is affecting me as well as their teacher, they do listen. So we need to create that space for them. So like to if we want them to be disciplined, we have to create that space for them, space for communication where they'll talk to us that why, if they are showing, sometimes I face resistance from students that they will not do theatre. So instead of behaving like it is your subject, you have to do it, you're supposed to do it, I I engage them in communication. I try to understand where they are coming from, what is stopping them, what is the reason behind their hesitation from participation, and then I tell them where I am coming from. I think transparency is the key, communication is the key, and definitely like this nightmare of a classroom is a no go to imparting discipline in the classroom. And I very well can say that now because I'm on the other side of the table now. And if I can try to do something like that, and it's not that tough, you just have to talk, you just have to keep your ego aside and be a teacher who cares for their students, and you have to be present and you have to listen. That's all. And I think they will discipline will eventually come. You have to be patient also. A lot of patience is required in the classroom, but that gives you no go. I will quote one teacher I heard in my classroom. There was a little stick there. And I asked them, like, it's not a scale, it's not something that can be used in a classroom. I asked students, what is it used for? And they told me that their PE teacher uses it to discipline them. And I was shocked that this kind of thing is still happening. And they were like, kids don't know that's what is happening to them. So they're telling me that, yeah, this happens, it is like that, it's like fine. And to me, I was like shocked that it's still happening. And when I spoke to the class teacher, she told me that you don't get, like, she was very subtly, she defended the teacher that you don't get to spend the entire day with students. That still doesn't give them. I spoke to the principal after that because this needs to be looked into, no matter what. Even if, like, I also have frustrating classes, but that doesn't give me a right to show my, like, impart my frustration to students in the form of hitting or something. That is something I need to work on. I need to come up with tools that will make them engage and that will help the students to be more disciplined. But hitting or resorting to such violent means is a no-go. I hope I answered your question.
Absolutely. Ocean, you had to, can we hear briefly from you as well?
So my response was very much in line with what Astha said, but plus having her personal experience, I'm just glad that there are teachers like Astha out there, and now children have teachers like that. One thing that just clicked me when I hear discipline is because when we were back in school, I believe that the whole idea of discipline, everyone has a very different definition to it, and that also comes from a very, like, if I talk about it, like not standing straight in the line, you're out of the line, your writing is wrong. All this is coming from a very ableist approach, like talking from the discipline. And I'm just like, when I think about it, like I have been scolded multiple times for not standing straight, for being out of the line, whatever. Like, and I never had any student with a wheelchair. How will that person see? How are we defining it? And of course, the whole idea of the concept of hitting is just not right, because from the childhood there's fear to one extent, and then the normalization becomes that if things need to be right, you need to hit. Violence is not an answer. But like, as as I said, that communication is key. And again, like the dress codes, like you're not disciplined because your dress is not right, your skirt is long, your pants are out, whatever. But again, that, like, me as a girl, I can wear pants, boys can't wear skirt. That again is coming from a very gendered, that stereotypicals that we have been taught. So I think, like, now with now, like, we're talking about the inclusion, I believe the whole definition of discipline itself needs a change as well. Like, like we need to normalize that beautiful writing is not the answer. Like, it's not will get you all marks, or like just like, because now that I have worked with children with disability, and like I have worked with children with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So even if you talk about the physical appearance, they will not put their shirts all the time in. There will be children with Down syndrome they will try their best to look their best, but again, how we define like a disciplined child should look like, they will never fit into that that brackets. So I just believe that when we're talking about the inclusion and discipline, all these needs to evolve with all the new the knowledge that we are gaining, and like how we are trying to make our atmosphere more inclusive.
All right, thank you so much. I guess that sums up our entire enriched learning session around inclusivity in schools, from unpacking different layers of inclusivity to understanding how young minds are curious, from the experiences of Funny to understanding how some people will be different forever and just can't fit in, and that's how it is. And how beautifully Ocean has mentioned about different disabilities that just can't be seen as a misfit. They are just there, and we need to accept and normalize it. to Asta explaining us about how theater can act as a powerful tool in creating or tweaking child's behavior right from the beginning to be more acceptable of the diverse opinions around. And of course, Devars also mentioned about how the small step of creating a gender-free learning can lead to a larger policy level change, which his organization is also aiming at with NEP 2029. With that, we all come to an end of the session today. Thank you so much. Yes, Asta, you had to say something. Please go ahead.
Yes, really. I believe that the question you asked in the beginning to Nivas, I don't think so that we should not talk about it because that was not talked about enough. I think it's really important to talk about homophobia in schools. So, and we very well, I hope we all are aware what happened this year in DPS Faridabad, which is a story for like that story is just more highlighted, but it happens every other day. But what happened to R.V. Malhotra, who was a victim of homophobia, and then he couldn't take it anymore, and he died by suicide. And it's not just, and obviously it's a cultural problem, it's a systemic problem. Uh, like he was harassed and assaulted by his peers. Why? Because obviously they are not sensitized enough about the queer people. There's no queer literature. They don't know. They don't have knowledge about it, and it's not just the students who is responsible for it. Even the teachers harass the kid, and he has written the names in his suicide note. So where is this coming from? The teacher, like teachers. Okay, we are not talking about students right now, but teachers. We are not talking about the peers, but the teachers have a responsibility, right? It's been 2018, 377 got decriminalized, but what, as Oshin rightly said, the things are on the paper, but what next? It's really important to follow up. If you just keep on putting things out there and not talk about it at all, it's not going to serve any purpose. The marriage equality, the hearing for the marriage equality is getting postponed every single time. And till date, or like most, like we can look up, the leaders are very openly talking about how a marriage is valid only between a cis man and a cis woman, and how it's like unnatural. What, you have decriminalized 377 and you're talking like this, and I don't see like where is it going, because it's clearly not aligning. So it's very important. Thank you for asking that question. I just didn't want it to get close like that, and I wanted us to I wanted it to put some light on it because it's really important. And homophobia is one thing that very subtly and but prevails in every school and everywhere, be it urban, be it rural, and there's a long way to go, and we need to start somewhere, because it's not like that privileged, well qualified students grow up to be queer. It's not that, right? And contrary to that, like what I've been talking about, that's why, when it comes to us also, we go into schools. It's not like we have a school of our own. Our organization collaborates with schools, and we then go and impart the curriculum we curate. So there is a school that there's one school which has been very queer positive, in the sense when we were developing a play, it was, I guess, Beauty and the Beast or something. It was modified properly, and the lead wanted the character to be gay because the student was gay, and they wanted to be seen. They don't want to play just any character, because whatever we modified the story. It was not the typical Beauty and the Beast, but the theme was around that. So there are these schools also which are still accepting, it's an annual day play where parents came and watched that the protagonist is gay. And I cannot imagine such a thing happening back in my school. And till date, me witnessing something like that on such a scale, parents, all the stakeholders getting on board, be it teachers, principals, parents, and then this thing happening. And at the same time, we are seeing such things happening. So where's the balance? So we really need to look into this. And uh, so yeah, I just like, it's something that I can go on and on, because it's as grave as, like, it cannot. Anyway, like, I just wanted to bring some limelight to this issue because it's important and it prevails everywhere. Like right now, when I talked about queer culture, queer literature, me developing a queer curriculum, it's a long way. I can talk about anti-bullying. That will be accepted in school because yeah, it's important. Neurodiversity. Yes, okay, we need to talk about learning disabilities. But when it comes to queer literature, when it comes to sexuality, it's not age appropriate. That's what it is. We will make it age appropriate. Give us that chance. But because you have homophobia, you have ingrained homophobia, you need to reflect on that. Be it the structure, be it the stakeholders or anyone, you need to look into that. We are coming up with the curriculum, but they'll find any, straw sticks from anywhere because it's their homophobia that they have not dealt with. Because obviously, again, it's a cultural problem, it's a systemic problem, and it will start from, like, as Dhwani rightly said, we have to shoot the bud. So when will we start shooting the bud? So yeah, we will not settle for breadcrumbs, be it the disability sector, be it the queer people. We are not settling for breadcrumbs that you are putting everything, you are putting on the paper, but what next? We need rights because we deserve it like everyone else. So that is why it's really important. And yeah, thank you. Thank you
Well,
for taking up time.
thank you so much, Astha, for shedding light on that. I think we don't need any more conclusion to a beautifully summed up session. And also, I would just like to reinforce that this is just the beginning. All of us as organizations, we look forward to working together, about working together in the space that we're working with, and just keep learning from each other and creating safe space for the diverse voices out there. With that, let us all conclude. Thank you again, Astha, Dhwani, Ocean, Nawaz, and other participants for joining in. Have a good day. Bye bye.
You too. Thank you for having
Thank you
us.
so much.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.